What's up guys, and welcome to another video on Kinetics. My name is Elo, and today I'm going to show you how to properly and responsibly use an air compressor. If you haven't already, don't forget to drop a massive like on this video, subscribe to the channel down below in order for me to keep posting more videos like this, and don't forget to check out all my other videos. Comment down below on what you thought of the video and if I should do any other videos like this. Without further ado, let's get started. So now I assume that most of you that are watching this are probably have either never used an air compressor or just haven't used it in a while and just need a refresher on how to properly use it. So here's how you properly use it. This is a 3-gallon air compressor that can hold, the tank itself can hold 100 psi. It comes with this hose right here, which you obviously use to inflate and use power tools, and it comes with a valve which you use to inflate your bike tires, a needle to inflate sports balls like a soccer ball and a basketball, and this adapter with this valve that can inflate things like inflatable mattresses, inflatable toys, etc. First, before using the actual compressor, you should make sure that you have eye protection and ear protection to make sure that the noise and the sparks coming out of the air compressor do not hurt you. This air compressor is very loud. Most air compressors are very loud anyways, so it's better to have hearing protection whenever working with an air compressor, and it's good to have eye protection whenever working with pneumatics. Before turning it on, you should have it plugged in. And now before we're going to start, I'm just going to give you a quick overview about what each of the components are and what they do. There are two dials right here. One of them you can kind of control, one of them you can't really control. This valve right here on the right is telling you how much PSI is in the actual tank itself. And it's going to go up when you start filling up the tank. Right below it is this valve right here, this little release valve. So you pull this valve, and when you pull it out, it's going to let some air out of the tank. So with this, let's say you filled at 50 psi and you want to put it back down to 40 psi for whatever reason, you can also pull on this without actually having to drain it using a hose or anything of that sort. Though I wouldn't recommend using this with too high of a PSI because it could shock you, like not electrically shock you, but it could like startle you, if you know what I mean, because you pull it, it lets out a bunch of air, a huge stream of air. The next dial right here regulates how much air is coming out of the actual compressor, coming through the hose to be inflated. You use this dial right here to regulate how much air is coming out. So by turning it to the right, kind of like screwing something in like this, you allow more air to come out, and by unscrewing it like this, turning it the other way, you let less air out. If this knob is loose like this, there is no air coming out. The valve is completely shut. If the knob doesn't turn, if it's like kind of like this, kind of tight, there's air coming out. So keep in mind that before you start inflating your compressor, before you actually plug in the hose, this is loose, so that way you don't accidentally waste all your air because of that little mistake. I've done this mistake before, which is why I'm telling you guys. Right here, this is where you plug your hose in. For most air compressors, this is how you do it. This is the entrance of your hose. This is the connector where you're going to connect it to the actual air compressor. In order to connect it, you just simply push it in, and it automatically locks in. Whenever you're done with the air compressor, or if you just need to remove the hose for whatever reason, all you have to do is take this ring right here, and you push it, and the hose automatically gets released. Now that I've walked you guys through how the compressor works and what are its main components, it's time to turn it on. Remember, plug it in before turning it on to make sure that there's no electrical circuit being shortened, and just for safety measures. And for more safety reasons, make sure you steer clear of any hazardous obstacles or like objects, like for example like any flammable materials, because this thing is electrical, sparks can fly all over the place. So be sure to keep anything flammable away from the compressor, and also make sure you're using it in a dry environment, not a humid environment, because then the water will fill up in the tank and it'll become rusty. A rusty tank will explode. So be sure to make sure this thing is well taken care of by also keeping in mind of other outside factors. To turn it on, all you have to do is literally just turn the on switch. Keep in mind it is going to be very loud, so when I turn it on, it is going to sound a lot. I'm just going to make sure one more time that this is good. 3, 2, 1. This is going to start filling up. The air compressor has been inflated to about probably like between 40 or so PSI. That's where we're going to run it at. And for the demonstration, we're going to inflate a ball. Now it's time to plug in the hose in order to inflate. First, make sure that this is loose right here, that this knob is loose, because if it's tight, it's going to let some air out. So I'm just going to just push it in like this, and it should automatically connect, and it should be pretty tight right here. For this demonstration, I'm just going to inflate this football. I mean, it's kind of flat anyway, so why not inflate it? This needle is way too small to fit into this end of the hose, so we're going to use our adapter. We're going to screw this on right here. And then we're going to take our needle and we're going to screw that on to the adapter. Boom, like that. Alright. Just gonna put the needle right here. Stab the football. Oops, it's straight in there. Okay. Now is the time to pay attention to how I use this. So again, this knob will tell you how much PSI is coming through this hose. This knob tells you how much air is in the tank. So like I said before, it's about 40 PSI in the tank. When I turn this knob, the PSI is going to go up. Since it's the ball, I'm going to run it at about 5 to 10 PSI. Look, as you can tell, the ball's inflating pretty quickly. A fairly fast pace. So I'm gonna move the camera over here. I don't know if you can see very clearly. But let me see. This is what happens when you turn the knob right here. Notice the dial on the right here. It doesn't really turn too much since I am running it at a really low PSI, but I will demonstrate that to you in one moment. What the knob does when it runs at a higher PSI. Look at that. You see now? It was running really fast, right? Now I've drained almost half of, actually probably more than half of a little less than half of my air supply in the tank. But as you saw that knob turn, so that knob will tell you how much like air pressure is coming out of that hose. I had almost 25 PSI coming out of that hose for like just a split second right there. It really just depends on how much airflow you need coming out of the hose, and then you can obviously regulate that. And then of course you can keep the knob loose to preferably not have the air coming out all the time. If you are going to stop using the compressor, you're going to store it away for the time being, I recommend you empty out the air. Once that is finished, it is time to unplug your hose. So first, unscrew the knob like this and make sure it's loose, so that way the next time you use it, you won't make the mistake that I've done in the past and plug in the hose and the air starts like leaking out like crazy. So take this little ring right here, push it in, boom, the hose should come out really easily, just like that. Unplug your air compressor. It has been unplugged. You turn it around right here. So as you can see here, right here, you see this little morass valve right here. This is the drain valve of the tank. So if over time the tank basically builds up a bunch of water because there's still some sort of humidity in the air, it'll build up some water and it'll generally store down here. So every once in a while, maybe like if you use this a lot, maybe weekly. If you use it occasionally, maybe monthly. Be sure to take your knob right here, take the valve, unscrew it, and make it and dump out like your water. It shouldn't be too much. It's not like the entire like lake being poured out. So just pour like maybe put like a paper towel or a piece of cloth down here, and then just let the water drain out. Because if you leave it there, the tank will rust. And like I said before, a rusty tank will explode. So when working with pneumatics, be very careful and be sure to heed any rules or advice that is also put right here, and be sure to also read the owner's manual before using an air compressor. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it was very helpful for those of you who've never used an air compressor before. Drop a like on this video, share this video with other people who may also find this helpful, and comment down below if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions on any other videos I should do, and subscribe to my channel in order for me to keep posting more videos like this. I appreciate you guys for all your support, and as always, thank you for watching.